Hey, y'all, and welcome back to another segment here on Gems Podcast. With me today is a special guest that is joining in. Her name is Natalie Lavelock, and you already know me, Miss Genesis Amaris Kemp, the founder and host. But let me tell you a little bit more about Natalie. Natalie Lavelock is a speaker, best-selling author, trainer, online business strategist, and program development specialist who works with purpose-driven coaches, speakers, and health professionals who know they can be making a bigger impact but don't have the programs or products to make that happen. Business owners hire Natalie to help them create custom, high ticket coaching programs, online courses, and advanced training certification programs that give them the ability to serve at their highest level while living a life they love. And who doesn't want that? Natalie is a registered nurse with a master's degree in nursing education and over 15 years of experience specializing in program development, quality improvement, professional education, and training in corporate healthcare. She has been working with leaders in the online space for over 6 years and believes it's her highest calling to help entrepreneurs defy the odds of business success by equipping and empowering them to lead with integrity, embrace a culture of excellence and growth, and build businesses that truly transform lives. If you're ready to build your $1 million product system so you can build a highly profitable coaching and speaking business and live a life you love, connect with Natalie today. All of her contact information will be brought up later on in the program. So without further ado, please welcome Natalie Lavelock.
Thank you, Genesis. That was such an amazing introduction. You did such a beautiful job. And I was like, my goodness. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And it's a pleasure to speak with your audience today.
Oh, thank you so much, Natalie. And I'm glad I did your bio justice and I try to pause for the emphasis on certain things. So, Natalie, I'm super excited to talk to you because you just have a wealth of knowledge and information. And today in the conversation, we're going to spend time talking about how you apply faith-based principles with the purpose-driven coaches and speakers that you work with. But before we dive into that area, I definitely want to give the audience a chance to connect with you in a fun and personal manner. So there are two options. We could do an icebreaker or a rapid fire 10 question game. What are you in the mood for?
Oh, let's go for an icebreaker.
Okie dokie. We're breaking the ice with Natalie. I love it. So, Natalie, I normally ask these two questions, and you could say one or the other, or you could combine both. So, name something crazy that you have done in your life, or a fun and interesting fact about yourself.
Oh my goodness. Something crazy that I've done in my life. Okay, so this is kind of the antithesis of that because I have always walked the straight and narrow, and it's always just been, by the book. So I can't really say that I've done anything crazy other than I think the craziest thing I've ever done is walking away from a highly lucrative career with 3 little kids at home, walking away from a steady paycheck, health insurance, retirement, all of the things that the world would say is good, all of the safety and security, and just being like, no, I'm going to go start this entrepreneurial journey, and kind of throwing caution to the wind and just saying, okay, God, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel, right? Because I really felt like it was something he was calling me to do to begin with. But that's probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life is walk away from everything that seems like it's safe and secure in order to pursue the calling that God had given me to do.
That is amazing because sometimes when we are obedient to God's will and what he's prompting us to do, you may not always see how God rewards you right then and there because he's looking for your obedience in the beginning. But as you begin to walk it out and take actions and listen to that a still small voice, that discernment, that intuition, and the Holy Spirit, then you begin to see why things needed to align according. And sometimes people may say, oh my gosh, Natalie, that's crazy. Why would you do that? Because people told me, you're podcasting? Are you getting paid for it? You have a bachelor's degree. You worked in oil and gas for 12 years. And I said, well, you know what? This is a new season that I'm in, and you don't know what God is going to do. And sometimes it's not up to us to defend his will and purpose. You just have to be in it and allow him to do the rest. So thank you for sharing that, Natalie, because I think that's going to resonate with someone, because there's so many people who are walking away from their jobs right now due to this quote unquote great resignation. And I think sometimes you need to do it afraid, or you just have to take that leap of faith and see where it goes. Because if not, you'll be living in regret or resentment.
Exactly. Exactly. And what I've discovered over the past 6 years since taking that leap is really there is no safer place. Even if you feel like you're falling, even if you feel like you're failing, there is no safer place for you to land than in the arms of your loving creator. And so for us, it's just about knowing beyond the shadow of a doubt that he's got your back and he wants what's best for you.
Yes, I love that. And whenever you said Jesus take the wheel, that song popped up in my head, and it it was so funny because I pulled up the lyrics actually as you were talking about it, and I'm just going to read the first two stanzas because I want to tie it together, because what we're going to be talking about is how do you apply faith in your business, and how do you really create that life that you love and not the life that someone else wants you to love. So
Yes.
Carrie Underwood says she was driving last Friday on her way to Cincinnati on a snow white Christmas Eve, going home to see her mama and her daddy with the baby in the back seat. 50 miles to go, and she was running low on faith and gasoline. It'd been a long, hard year, and I'm sure some of us remember 2020. She had a lot on her mind, and she didn't pay attention. She was going way too fast. Before she knew it, she was spinning on a thin black sheet of glass. She saw both their lives flash before her eyes. She didn't even have to cry. She was so scared. She threw her hands up in the air. Jesus, take the wheel. Take it from my hands, because I can't do this on my own. I'm letting go, so give me one more chance and save me from this road I'm on. Jesus, take the wheel. And I wanted to read that because I want to ask.
Girl, you got me. Like, I know that song inside and out. And like, as you're reading that, I'm getting teary, and I'm like, that's the journey that we're on, right? That's
Yes.
the journey of just following him and saying, I'm here to do your will. I'm here to do what you've asked me to do, what you've called me to do. So take the wheel. It's all yours. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No,
but
no,
woo,
no.
you
Go,
got me.
go ahead. And that's what it's about. We're having a coffee chat style conversation. And the reason why I wanted to say that is because how many of us have just felt like we just needed to let go? We needed to throw our hands up. We needed to surrender, because it's not always our will, but his will be done according to his goodness, his grace, and his mercy. And he's still sovereign, even when we're going through the thick of things and we're unsure, or we have those questions. If we just, let go and let God have his way, then things begin to fall into alignment. And I know that's where you're coming from, Natalie, because you said you left a lucrative job. You had 3 kids at home. You didn't have benefits. You left that all on the table to follow that still small voice inside of you, that intuition, that gut instinct. And now look at all the people that you have touched, the lives that you have impacted. Do you honestly think that would have happened in this time, or as soon as it did, if you did not listen and just say, you know what, I got to do something different because something is calling me, it's tugging on my heartstrings. I just don't feel comfortable in this position. And if I stay here, I'm going to sleep on my dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. I can look back now, and so here's the interesting thing about hindsight. Hindsight's always 2020, right? And so I can look back now and go, I am so grateful that I found the courage. There was a book, and it was really a very pivotal and timely book for me. It's by John Ortberg, and it's called If You Want to Walk on Water, You've Got to Get Out of the Boat. And so that book was instrumental in helping me find the courage to step out in faith and to follow that calling. And I'm so grateful now because I can look back and I can see that highly lucrative position at almost the top rung of the nursing ladder, so to speak. That position's no longer there. And I look back and I think about the time that they offered me a management position. And now that position is no longer there. And so it just reconfirms for me, one, when God asks you to do something, you do it, right? But number two, it really has opened up my eyes to the things that we think are safe and secure. It's like what am I trying to say? Like a false belief. We think that a job is safe and secure because you get a regular paycheck. But I've seen time and time again where employees are expendable. You have a job today and no job tomorrow. I have seen positions that are what you would consider like an authority position. Like new management comes in, they start eliminating the top and middle positions because they can replace it with people who haven't developed the seniority, they haven't been there as long, which boils down to we don't have to pay you as much. So I've had the it's not really the pleasure, but I've had the opportunity to look and see, like, what are all the systems of the world that we believe our safety and our security lies in? And I'm watching them crumble all around us, from our government systems to our school systems, to our health systems, to our employment systems. And it just all, and I don't mean to be like the bearer of gloom and doom, because that's not at all where I'm going. But what I am saying is, if you feel God calling you to something, that is the safest place to move, is towards what he's calling you to, because everything else of the world is shaky. Everything else, it has a false sense of security. And what God is asking you to do, that's really your only safe place.
Absolutely, because I totally resonate where you're coming from. I was laid off in the pandemic, found out 1 week after my father had passed from medical negligence. And it was awful because I was like, I've in global supply chain, have a supply chain degree. We all know where the supply chain crisis started in the pandemic and where it is now. We still haven't fixed those supply chain issues. And that happened. And I said, well, God, what am I going to do? And I said, you know what? Stop asking God, what is it that you're going to do? And start looking to what is it that God can do for you. You're not the one that's navigating it. He holds the blueprint, just like he knew you when he formed you in your mother's womb. And on this note, I'm going to share one more stanza, and then we're going to see how we're tying this together, because we're building up to the work that you're doing. So it was getting colder when she made it to the shoulder, and that car came to a stop. She cried when she saw that baby in the backseat, sleeping like a rock. And for the first time in a long time, she bowed her head to pray. She said, I'm sorry for the way I've been living my life. I know I've got to change. So from now on tonight, Jesus, take the wheel. Take it from my hands, because I can't do this on my own. I'm letting go. So give me one more chance and save me from this road I'm on. And that's what you did, Natalie. That's what so many people have done when they have transitioned, they have pivot. They had to transfer knowledge in order for a transformation to take place to get them to the level that they're at now. And now, whenever you think about what you're doing from what you left, You're helping people put faith in business. You're creating $1 million product system. You're giving them the blueprints because they're tired. They have they have the willpower. They just need the playbook to make the plays to score those touchdowns. So let's talk about how can we begin to create $1 million product system, which is driving a business and life that they love as an individual. Because whenever you said you, it's personal to that individual that you're working in. I'm not creating a life that Natalie loves for you to live on because your views may be different, but I can help you create a life that you love and a business that is thriving based on the principle of activating faith and allowing that faith to be part of your core values and your mission. So does it see how I tie it all together, Natalie?
You did a beautiful job. You did an excellent job. You should do this for a living.
I would love to do that. I am actually looking for brand sponsors.
Awesome. Awesome.
So walk us through this journey, Natalie, so we can begin to paint the rest of the picture for the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in some ways, the journey is very similar to what you hear a lot of people say or a lot of people promote. But the bottom line is there's a million different ways that you can build a business. You have to take the first step in discovering what kind of business you truly want to build and the business that God has positioned you to create. So, you hear all the time, write a book, sell a course, do a low ticket item, do a high ticket item, do all these different things. And there is a way that you can build a business doing any of those things. But if they're not aligned with how God has created you and what he's asking you to do, everything is going to feel more uphill. So getting that foundational element of what are your strengths, what are your talents, what are your gifts, abilities? There's a process that I take clients through. It's called the Spark process. And if you ever want to Google this, you absolutely can't. I shouldn't say Google because it's on YouTube, but there's a really cool video. Genesis, I'm going to say this because I used to be an old OB nurse and you're expecting your first baby. So like we're kind of all in this realm together, but there's a really cool video that shows what happens at the moment of conception. And at the moment of conception, there is a literal spark that happens. And you can see it in this video. And my belief is that in that moment of spark, that's when that divine download comes and fills your little infant body with all the gifts, talents, skills, abilities that God has prepared for you. So my business was founded on Ephesians 2:10, for we are God's handiwork, and we are created in Christ Jesus to do the things that he's prepared for us in advance to do. And so in that moment of divine download of your beingness, he's giving you the gifts and talents and abilities that are going to help you do the work that he's prepared for you to do in advance. And so what I see a lot of times is when people decide to become an entrepreneur, there's this thing that they've done forever and they're tired of it and they're bored of it and they want to go 180 degrees in the opposite direction of whatever it is they've always been doing. And then it doesn't work. It falls flat. They get on the struggle bus and they don't know how to get off. When really, if they would just take the time to examine who they've been created to be and ask God what he's calling them to do, they're probably going to find that what their next step is about 15 degrees off of where they're at right now.
Yes, I love that. And you know why I love that? Because it reminded me when I was going to seminary school for a short amount of time, they talked about the chronos, which is chronological time. So that's man's time and earth's time. Then they talked about kairos, which is God appointed timing. And that happens whenever we have those downloads, those spiritual downloads. Sometimes they can happen when we're awake. They can happen in a dream when we're asleep. Or sometimes God will use human vehicles, so other people to meet us in our life for a season to get us to the next step. And then once they have fulfilled their purpose that God assigned them to do, then they go on to the next. So we have to be mindful of paying attention to different things that's happening around us as well as inside of us. And whenever I say inside of us, that's the reflectionary period where you're taking time to reflect on what am I hearing, what am I seeing, because some people see visions, they'll see like animals like birds, they'll see numbers. And like, for example, I'll use a numerology. So 5 in biblical terms means the number of grace. 7 means the number of completion. 8 means the number of new beginnings. So there's different times that you'll see those numbers. And if you see those numbers pop up in your life, that's another way that God could be speaking to you. Because maybe he's tried speaking to you, but it's just not getting through to you. It's not landing and it's not receiving. And then another thing that I like that you said, Natalie, is that you may be 15 degrees off from where you are. But if we are intentional to pay attention to what's going on inside of us, what are we hearing and what have we been drawn to and called to, even if it scares us, then that is a leading us into the right direction. But we can't allow fear, which is a mindset, to condition us to shrink back, remain complacent, and stay in our comfort zone. And I just wanted to interject that there, Natalie, because I think if you think about it that way, someone may resonate with it. What you're saying is gold. You're dropping so many gems. And I think like everyone has a different way of articulating how God speaks to them. But I want to encourage the audience today, pay attention for those Kairos moments. We all have them on a daily basis.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Natalie, so 15 degrees off, and then that puts them in, the coordinate of where that spark could happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Absolutely.
where that spark happens, how do you get that person, once they realize that a spark has happened, how do you get them to continue to ignite that spark by activating their core pillars and their faith in business in order to build up their business? Because businesses start with an idea, which is that spark.
Mm-hmm.
But in
Mm-hmm.
order for that business to take off, you have to take actions to nurture the spark. Kind of like if we're barbecuing, who doesn't like barbecue? When you are putting the coals on the pit, you have to put the lighter fluid, or you have to put other things in order for the fire to blaze up. And then once it simmers down, then you can put your meat on so it doesn't have that char blackness or that first beginning smoke.
Yes. Yep. You're exactly right. Like girl, you got it. You got it. So really after you have that idea, we're looking for what we call proof of concept. And so we want to look for somewhere between 3 and 5 people who are willing to exchange some level of value, something valuable of their own, in order to get what you are offering. All right. So you have this idea, you think you want to create a business around, X, Y, or Z. And so let's look for 3 to 5 people who are willing to exchange time, money, or energy to get what you have to offer. So once you've gotten 3 to 5 people who are willing to do that, then we have what you call proof of concept, that it's worth something to someone outside of yourself to invest in, to get that result for themselves. Whatever it is you have, I want it. I'm willing to give you something valuable in order to get it. So once you have proof of concept, then it's about, okay, what's the gear that we need to use to turn up the speed of this so that we can start bringing in more clients that are willing to pay us on a more regular schedule. Now, what I will say, and this is the way I work with my clients, first of all, public speaking is my mode. It's the vehicle that I use to get where I'm going, because public speaking is the fastest, easiest way for you to expand your business. When you're talking with people, you can see them, you can see how they react, you can see where they might have questions, you can adjust your message. which is so much easier than sitting down at a computer. It might be a little bit scarier at first. I'll acknowledge that, but it's a lot easier than sitting down behind a computer and writing words on a page, trying to pretend like you know what's in someone's head and trying to figure out what their need is and craft the perfect email or the perfect Facebook ad when you don't have any real way of measuring that at this point. So I love public speaking because you get to have a real life interaction with a real life person. You get to build relationships and share your message and grow your business. Now, that being said, we also have to be mindful of, okay, as we're sharing and as we're speaking, what is the offer that we're making to someone? And this is the second place that I find people, kind of like falling off track, is because my comfort level as a new entrepreneur, not Natalie, but like the person that I'm working with, because I'm not great at sales yet, I feel much more comfortable selling a $29 or a $49 product than I do asking someone for $5,000. Here's the fault in that, though. It takes the same amount of time and energy to sell both. Okay? It takes the same amount of time and energy to sell both. And so if you're going to be selling something, I want you making the $5,000 sale, because if you're not making income, first of all, that $5,000 product when you're first starting out is probably going to be some type of one-on-one service. So it's very high level, very high value for your client. It is the best work that they can possibly get out of you with the fastest result. So it's the best opportunity for that potential client, and it's good money for you to be able to invest in other things in your business. Because if you don't have cash flow in your business, you don't have a business. Your business goes under. And so if you're looking to build a lucrative business that allows you to, have more time with your family, to give to charities, to donate to other causes, if you're looking to build a business where you can take care of your family and your community and people outside of your community, you have to have positive cash flow. And the only way to do that is, I shouldn't say the only way to do that, but the fastest way to do that is by doing high value transformative work with your potential clients, which is a higher dollar value and gives you the cash flow you need to continue running your business.
I love that. And it's also helping that individual once they've changed their mindset, which is a paradigm shift. And for anyone listening, some ways to help you with paradigm shifts is, I don't work in NLP, but I do coach clients. And I tell my clients, I could partner you with someone that is a SME, subject matter expert in neurolinguistics programming, so we could begin to work together to transform that mindset in order for you to start thinking higher and begin to flourishing. Because if you're thinking small-minded, you're not going to have a big high-level business, because there's something that is causing you to feel as if you can't attain it. And if you can't visualize it, you can't feel it, then you can't see it. And then that means you're not going to take actions to bring it into your scope of things. So, Natalie, I love how you broke down the difference between $29 versus a $5,000 transformative ticket item. So, Natalie, I do want to throw you an audible because I know you and I have a time commitment and constraints. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about yet that you want to add that will bring value into the conversation before we jump into the call to action and wind down?
So a couple of things. I think more importantly, as I said, you did a great job with my bio. But I think more importantly than like who I am and what I do is why I do it. So I'd like to share that with your audience, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So the reason that I do what I do, you heard Genesis say that my career began as a nurse. So I've seen the fragility of life. I've seen life come into this world. I've seen life go out of this world. And I've seen all the circumstances that surround that. And so for me, the reason I do my business, the reason I started this company was because I believe with every ounce of my being that your life matters. I believe that your business, the thing that you're being called to do, the programs, the products, the services, they're a lifeline to someone in need. And I believe that right now, in this moment, as you're hearing these words, as you're listening to this call, I believe that you're being called to step up, to step out in faith, and to be that lifeline for that person out there who is looking for what only you can do in only the way that you can do it. And I want to help you be that lifeline.
I just got chills. I love that because whenever you said lifeline, it's like you're taking your gifts and your talents and you're lighting the torch so you could pass the torch on to somebody else who needs to find that spark inside of them in order for them to do their will and purpose. So, Natalie, what is your call to action besides telling them to make a move, do it afraid, start something? Try something new, and just really walk into their authenticity because they were created on purpose for a purpose, and we don't want their dreams to end up in the graveyard. So share your call to action and then plug your website and where you primarily hang out on social media.
All right. Thank you very much. So yes, I do have a gift for you today. It's called Life Beyond the Laptop, because what I see so many times is entrepreneurs, when they say yes to this journey, they start like they go down and they're on their laptop all day, all the time, right? Because it can be a difficult it can be difficult to get your business started and get the ball rolling in things. And what I find is that many times the laptop starts to consume your life. Instead of you having the laptop freedom lifestyle, the laptop starts to consume every aspect of your life. So I have a guide that I want to give you that's called Life Beyond the Laptop, that helps you take a balanced perspective of what you're creating, how you're creating, and how to continue to live the best life possible while building your business. So Genesis is going to make that link available for you to get that. Where do I hang out? I hang out on Facebook, and I hang out at live in-person events where real people are. So there's lots of different ways that you can connect with me. I am on Facebook. We'll give you the link to that. And if you want to find out more from me, you can also check me out at natalielavelock.com.
Amazing. So there you have it, folks. You just heard Natalie Lavelock, the woman on a mission who is helping you level up your career, your business by just really tapping into your strengths and building that up while using your faith in business. So all of her contact information will be in the show notes. Make sure you read, scroll on down, and tap in with Natalie. Let's show her some support and love. Also, this is on 40 plus platforms, so there's a space for everybody to listen. You can see the video on our YouTube channel by going to GEMS, GEMS, with Genesis Amaris Kemp for all video. And lastly, but not least, we are looking for brand sponsors. If you want to have your products and services heard right here, where we're ranked in the top 2% globally out of 2.8 million podcasts, per the metrics from www.listennotes.com. Send me a personalized email to gems with Genesis Amaris Kemp at gmail.com for more info, or you can head to my website, genesisamariskamp.net, to learn more info. Until next time, peace, love, and lots of blessings. Have yourself an amazing day.